Welcome to Psychiatric Nursing Lecture. In previous lecture, we have seen about the schizophrenia. Also, we have seen how the name schizophrenia comes and what are the various causes, etiology of schizophrenia. Also, we discuss the epidemiology of schizophrenia. So now we come to the main part of schizophrenia, the types of schizophrenia. So now let's see what are the various types of schizophrenia present. So basically, the DSM-4 text revision have five subtypes of schizophrenia. According to this classification, there are five subtypes of schizophrenia. One is paranoid schizophrenia. Second one is disorganized schizophrenia. Third one, catatonic schizophrenia. Fourth is undifferentiated schizophrenia. Fifth is residual schizophrenia. According to ICD-10, there are two more subtypes of schizophrenia, that is post-schizophrenic depression and simple schizophrenia. So along with this type, I have given you the alphanumeric code. This is according to ICD-10 classification. F20 represents paranoid schizophrenia. Like that, F20.1 represents disorganized schizophrenia. Now let's see first type of schizophrenia. Most common type of schizophrenia among all of the subtypes is paranoid schizophrenia. The ICD-10 alphanumeric code is F20.0. So the paranoid schizophrenia have the following characteristic symptoms. First one is delusion is very common, and delusion will be paranoid or persecutory type. Hallucinations are very common in all kind of schizophrenia. So mainly auditory hallucination comes first, followed by that there will be visual hallucination, and there will be feelings of active and passive control. The patient does not feel he is independent. The patient feels that he is under the influence of someone, either actively or passively, and there is feeling of intrusion, often by megalomaniac tendencies. So there will be patient having the feeling of grandiosity, that is megalomaniac tendency. Patient will be very happy, and feeling of intrusion. Patient feels that nobody can control him, and there is individual often will be tense and suspicious thoughts comes in the mind again and again, and he will be very guarded in nature. Guarded in nature means he always protect himself. He will be aware about the surrounding environment because of the suspicious thing. He thinks somebody might hurt him, so he is having the guarded behavior, and also he is having the hostility, angry and aggressive towards self as well as towards others. And negative symptoms like flat affect, poverty of speech and poor activity is also noted in paranoid schizophrenia. The onset of paranoid schizophrenia is usually between late 20s to 30s. The disturbance of affect, volition, and speech catatonic symptoms are either absent or relatively inconspicuous. So this is about paranoid schizophrenia. This is the most commonly found schizophrenia in all the subtypes. Many of the patients in the ward will be with this diagnosis only. Now let's move on to the second type of schizophrenia, that is disorganized schizophrenia, also called as hebephrenic schizophrenia. This type of schizophrenia, the ICD-10 code, alphanumeric code is F20.1. The other name for disorganized schizophrenia is hebephrenic schizophrenia. In hebephrenic schizophrenia, thought disturbances will be more severe, hallucinations and delusions will be present, and feelings of active and passive control again present here. And here, patient with behave this type of schizophrenia will be behaving very silly. The patient behavior is described as silly behavior. For example, patient urinates and defecates in the bed even though he is adult or adolescent, and his speech is incoherent. There is no logical connection in his speech, and thought is also not having any kind of logical thinking. An inappropriate affect, the appropriate affect is not present, and patient behavior is also inappropriate. It will not be related to the situations. Onset of this organized schizophrenia is between 15 to 25 years of age, and it is more severe form of schizophrenia, and it is very difficult to treat because here negative symptoms are present more. You must keep one thing in mind: when there is more negative symptoms, the treatment is very difficult. If positive symptoms are more, easily we can treat it with the antipsychotic drugs. And patient also have some kind of silly behaviors like pranks. Patient do pranks with others. Giggling behavior will be there, and often complain about her health. Grimacing and mannerisms are more common seen in this type of schizophrenic patient. Now let's see the third subtype, catatonic schizophrenia. Kata matlab disturb. Kata meaning is disturb. Tone means muscle tone. So disturbed muscle tone. So catatonic schizophrenia is characterized mainly by the disturbed motor activity. So here the motor activity can be either strongly increased, known as hyperkinesis, or the motor activity will be decreased, known as stupor, or sometimes patient will have automatic obedience and negativism also commonly present along with this symptoms. There are two forms of catatonic schizophrenia. One is productive form, another one is stuporous form. In productive form, it is main characteristic features like extreme and often patient will be involving in aggressive activities. So the treatment is done usually with antipsychotic drugs, and ECT is very effective. Whereas in stuporous form, the patient will have inhibition behavior, and patient will become retarded, and his activities will be very slow, and patient have mutism, and negativism is also more common, and flexibilities is noted in this patient. Seria flexibilities, the patient maintains abnormal body posture without pain for long period of time. And another important thing in catatonic schizophrenia, patient is very conscious, so we cannot think that patient is in semi-conscious or unconscious state. So in conscious state, patient exhibits all kind of behavior. Patient knows that what is going around him. So noted point is seria flexibilities. Patient maintains abnormal body posture without pain for long period of time. So this is about catatonic schizophrenia. The next type of schizophrenia is undifferentiated schizophrenia. Alphanumeric code is F20.3. So we cannot keep this type of schizophrenia in any other category because it does not fulfill the diagnostic criteria of other three types which we have seen. So the diagnostic criteria of paranoid schizophrenia, disorganized schizophrenia, and catatonic schizophrenia will not be comes under this category. That's why this is undifferentiated schizophrenia. We cannot say this type of schizophrenia comes under which category. That's why it is undifferentiated. The therapist cannot differentiate the signs and symptoms of this schizophrenia in any of the previous three categories. The common symptoms include delusions, hallucination, disorganized speech or behavior. Negative symptoms of schizophrenia are very common here. So this is about undifferentiated schizophrenia. The last important type of schizophrenia is residual schizophrenia. The alphanumeric code is F20.5. In this type of schizophrenia, the patient usually suffering for a long period of time. So, residual schizophrenia clients having the chronic history of schizophrenia, and usually this symptom is present for at least 1 year period of time. And after the disappearance of positive symptoms, the negative symptoms occurs, and it usually lasts for 1 year period of time. And the signs and symptoms of this type of schizophrenia is emotional blunting, eccentric behavior. That is eccentric behavior, patient thinks himself as very important, and he keeps himself in the limelight in every situation. Eccentric behavior, illogical thinking. Thinking is not related to the reality, and patient will have social withdrawal, always move out of any group activities, does not have friendship with others, and loosening of association. The thinking will not have any logical connectivity. So these are the symptoms commonly present in residual schizophrenia. Now let's see the other types of schizophrenia. First one is post-schizophrenic depression. The alphanumerical code is F20.4. So in this schizophrenia, the patient is suffering for the past 12 months with the schizophrenia, and after that the patient gets the depressive episode. The depressive episode comes addition to the schizophrenic symptoms. So schizophrenic symptoms will be commonly present for 12 months period, and after the 12 months the patient will not have the schizophrenia. Instead of that, the patient will have depressive signs and symptoms. So this comes in the name post schizophrenic depression. So after schizophrenia, depression comes. So the depressive states are associated with increased rate of suicide. The depression symptoms are very severe because that depression symptoms leads to suicidal thoughts in the patient. The common symptoms are progressive development of negative symptoms with a history of psychosis. So for the past 12 months, patient have schizophrenia. So that is the previous history of psychosis. At present, negative symptoms will be very high in the patient. That is post schizophrenic depression. Now let's see the simple schizophrenia. Majority of the patient comes to the psychiatric ward with this type of diagnosis. If it is untreated, that may lead to either paranoid or disorganized, or it can be to it can leads to be catatonic schizophrenia type. So in simple schizophrenia, the main characteristic is earlier and slowly developing initial stage of symptoms with increased social isolation, withdrawal from the social activities, withdrawal from the family members, withdrawal from occupational activities, and patient will have passivity. Patient does not do any activities by himself, and avolition, absence of doing any kind of productive activities, and patient will be always dependent on others for all the basic things. So this is a simple schizophrenia characteristics, and here there is no delusion and hallucination. It's not much common. The patients with this type of schizophrenia also will have the patients are indifferent. So that is, these patients are not separate from other type of schizophrenia. They also will have lack of initiative, and they also will have absence of evolution. That is, they don't involve in any kind of occupational activities. The symptoms very common include social withdrawal, difficulty in making friends, aimless wandering, idleness, loss of volition and drive. They don't have any motives, and decline in academic or occupational performance. So these are the common symptoms of simple schizophrenia. Now let's see the management and treatments of schizophrenia. So basically, for treating schizophrenia, we use antipsychotic drugs. Also, we are using electroconvulsive therapy, and some kind of psychological and social supports also given for the patient. Hospitalization is needed for the patient who have severe episodes of illness. Community support services including daycare centers, drop-in centers, and visits need to be done by the community health workers, community mental health workers. So these will be the main way of treating schizophrenia. Now let's see the who needs hospitalization, the criteria for hospitalization. So if the patient have resistance to the treatment, they need a prolonged hospitalization. And if you feel the patient behavior is dangerous to the self and others, they need to be admitted in the hospital for further treatment. And those patients who have active state of delusion and hallucination must be admitted in the hospital for further treatment. Those patients with poor social support needs hospitalization, and if the diagnostic evaluation of the patient to be done, they need hospitalization. And also in case of emergency psychiatric emergency condition like extrapyramidal side effects, the patient who have extrapyramidal side effects also need to be hospitalized. So these are the criteria for hospitalization. Now, the medical management. Medical management basically neuroleptic agents, D2 receptor antagonists. So all these are comes and all these are the other name of antipsychotic drug. The commonly used antipsychotic drugs in our Indian setup is chlorpromazine, colthorazine, haloperidol, also known as Haldol, flufenazine, that is known as proxylin, uh, prolixin, risperidone, and olanzapine. So these are the medical management for schizophrenia. Now the psychosocial therapies like group therapy. So group therapy is not done in the initial stage of illness. In the middle and later stages, we can organize group therapy with a similar type patient with similar type of illness, and we have studied the group therapy principles that we need to follow. The techniques of group therapy should be administered in that. Behavior therapy is also indicated. Behavior therapy helps the patient to change the maladaptive behavior and help the patient to adapt good behavior which does not harm to self and others. Social skill training very very important because the patient having evolution, patient also having that social withdrawal, poor interpersonal relationship. To correct these problems, social skill training teach the patient about good IPR, help the patient to maintain good social relation with other stressful relation. These things are taught in the social skill training. Cognitive therapy is important and it is indicated to correct the maladaptive thought patterns of the patient. So the illogical ideas, illogical thoughts can be eliminated when the patient is undergoing cognitive therapy. Family therapy, if the cause is in the family, all the family members of the patient has to be undergoing this family therapy, and here the the family therapist treat all the family members as like treating the patient. The family education is given to prevent the further cause and relapse. So this is about the psychosocial treatment. Now electroconvulsive therapy. Electroconvulsive therapy is indicated for patient with catatonic stupor, patient who is having catatonic excitement, uncontrolled behavior, schizophrenia refractory to all forms of treatment. Usually electroconvulsive therapy, the cycles 8 to 12 ECT cycles are needed for the patient. So between 8 to 12, the patient gets cure, and that is very very important. We must give electroconvulsive therapy along with antipsychotic drug. Don't depend on electroconvulsive therapy alone. Now come to the nursing assessment. So we need to observe the behavior pattern of the patient, observe patient posturing, psychomotor disturbances, if any, like extrapyramidal symptoms, and observe for patient appearance and hygiene. In disorganized schizophrenia, the hygiene will be very poor, and grooming is not done in the disorganized schizophrenia patient. And second nursing assessment is on identifying the type of disturbances the patient is experiencing. Some patient may have delusion, hallucination, or patient might have suicidal tendencies or grandiose delusion or some kind of persecuted delusion. So observe what kind of what kind of behavior patient is showing. And next, ask the patient about the feelings every time, ask every day, find out the current mental status of the patient. And this helps to plan the care. Patient mind will not be same all the day. That's why every day we need to ask about the patient feelings, and we need to find out whether there is any alteration in the emotional state of the patient, and note the affect and emotional tone. So this helps to identify whether patient have any kind of aggressive behavior or hyperkinesis or stuporous movement. So that is very very important when you see the emotional tone, and also observe the patient for the whether the patient is having any kind of um, delusional thinking or any kind of negativism, automatic obedience. These things has to be seen. If the persecutory delusion is present, assess which kind of threat the patient is having. Also see that whether patient is risk for doing violence activity or suicidal tendencies are present or not. Check it. Assess the speech pattern associated with the delusion. When the patient is encouraged to speak, we can identify what type of delusion is present in the patient. So encourage the patient to speak more, and assess the patient ability to do self-care activities. If the patient can able to do self-care activities by himself, promote the patient to perform the day-to-day activities daily by himself. So these are the basic assessment we need to do. Followed by the basic assessment, the top five nursing diagnoses which we need to frame for schizophrenia patient I have mentioned here. The first nursing diagnosis is disturbed thought process because of the disturbance in cognitive thinking, and as a result of this thought process, patient will have disorganized thinking as evidenced by. So how we can check there is a thought process? So patient will have non-reality based thinking, so all the thinking will be out of reality, and patient will be disoriented to the time, place and person, and patient mood is not stable, that is labile affect is present, and patient attention level is not maintained. So attention level is aroused very difficulty, and also patient will have impaired judgment, or patient will have frequent distractibility in all the activities. If these things are present, the nursing diagnosis will be disturbed thought process. So the basic nursing intervention for this nursing diagnosis is be sincere and honest when communicating with the client. Avoid vague or evasive remarks that may stimulate the patient anger, and be consistent in setting the expectations, and encourage the client to talk with you, but do not pry for any information. Explain all the procedure to the client. Give positive feedback for client success. Kindly refer the textbook for the rationale of this nursing intervention. The second common nursing diagnosis is disturbed sensory perception because patient is having hallucination, patient also having other kind of delusion also. That's why it is called disturbed sensory perception. So the nursing interventions are: be aware of surrounding stimuli, try to decrease the stimuli around the patient's environment, explore the contents of the patient hallucination, use concrete specific verbal communication with the client, avoid gestures and abstract ideas, respond verbally and reinforce the client's conversation, and show acceptance of the client's behavior and the client as a person. So this helps to patient to relieve from the hallucinatory ideas. Next one is the third important nursing diagnosis: disturbed personal identity because patient does not know who he himself, who he is, who she is. So disturbed personal identity related to regressive behavior, loss of ego boundaries, disorientation, illogical thinking as evidenced by inability to distinguish between self and non-self. So for this nursing diagnosis, the important nursing interventions are: reassure the client, and tell the patient that he is safe in this environment, and protect the client from harming himself or herself or others. Remove the client from the group if his or her behavior becomes too biased, disturbing, or dangerous to the others. Reorient the client to person, place, and time as indicated. Spend most of the time with patient because that convey your interest and caring to the patient. Make only promises those you can able to keep it in a realistic way. So these are the nursing interventions commonly used for disturbed personal identity. The next nursing diagnosis is impaired social interaction. So that is related to delusional disorganized thinking as evidenced by poor interpersonal relationship, being threatened in social situation, difficulty with verbal communication, exaggerated response to stimuli, difficulties in relationship with significant others, or poor social skill. So when these things are present, that says that patient diagnosis impaired social interaction. That is because of delusional disorganized thinking. Now the nursing interventions will be provide attention in a sincere, interested manner, support any successes or responsibilities or when the patient fulfilling any projects given to him, avoid trying to convince the client verbally of his or her own worth, teach the client social skills such as eye contact, attentive listening, etc. Help the client to improve his or her grooming, assist whenever necessary in the activities of daily life like bathing and grooming. So these are important nursing interventions for impaired social interaction. Please read the rationale for each nursing intervention from the textbook. Now the next nursing diagnosis, risk for violence. So the patient can go for violence behavior because of his hostility tendency, anger, aggressive nature. So risk for violence related to frightened secondary to auditory hallucination. Auditory hallucination also sometimes commanding the patient to go for violent activities, and delusional thinking because of persecutory ideas, because of grandiose idea. Patient can go for violent behavior as evidenced by assaultative towards others, self and environment. The nursing interventions will be acknowledge patient's fear, hallucination and delusions, be genuine and empathetic, assure patients that you will help him control behavior and keep him safe, offer patient choices of maintaining the safety, staying in the seclusion room, medications to given for the relaxation of the patient, avoid mechanical restraints that is not acceptable nowadays, it is unethical. And when you do mechanical restraints, patient aggression will further increase. Offer oral medication first. If IM is necessary, then IM injections are given in the deep into the muscle mass because that helps to prevent further adverse reaction. So this nursing diagnosis is risk for violence and the nursing interventions we have seen. So this is the nursing management how we need to do for patient who is having any type of schizophrenia. So I have covered the schizophrenia unit in this lecture. So in next lecture we will see another new topic, mood disorders we will see. So read the slides and get thorough knowledge about schizophrenia. Thanks for watching this video. Meet you again with another topic of psychotic disorder. We will see mood disorder. Take care. Bye bye.